Sairam students, welcome once again. Today we are going to continue part 2 of story writing. In the previous lecture, we learned about the guidelines for writing a story, key elements of story writing, and also story progression. Today we will be focusing more on different types of questions asked in exam, and we will also revise the format of story writing and the points to be kept in mind while writing a story. So let's get started. To start with, we learned about the definition of story writing, or what is story writing. Story writing is an art. It is the oldest form of written composition. It is a work of imagination that is written in easily understandable grammatical structure. Okay, so it is an art, an oldest form of written composition, and also a work of imagination. Okay, and story should be written in easily understandable grammatical language. There should be no grammatical errors. The language used should be simple. And what story is, it is basically a narration of real or imaginary events involving real or imaginary characters. Okay, and story needs to be represented in words necessarily. Alright, so moving ahead, let us understand the main elements of a story. The first and the most important one is central character. Central character is a person around whom the story revolves. So, the central character is the focus. Okay, his goals, desires, fears, and worst case scenarios drive the core events of a story. So, the entire story revolves around the central character. The second element of story writing is the theme. The theme is the central insight of the story. Okay, the theme basically is the central idea. Okay, the pivotal element of a story. So this theme will give the reader a deep understanding of the story. Okay, it will give a deep understanding, an accurate understanding of what this story is about. The next important element is setting. The time and place where the story takes place is the setting. Okay, so the background of the story is where is the story being set up? Is it a village, a circus, a school, or a forest? Okay, so the time and place where the story takes place is known as setting. Plot. Now, plot of the story is the sequence of the events happening in the story. So what it means here is, plot describes the events that make up a story or the main part of a story. These events relate to each other in pattern or sequence. Alright, so you need to keep in mind all these 4 points while writing a story. Moving ahead, there are some points to be kept in mind while developing a good story. Number 1, focus should be on a single incident. When you are writing a story, you should focus on a single incident. If you involve 2 to 3 incidents together, the story will become confusing. The reader will get confused. Okay, so while writing a story, describe a single incident at a time. Always use past tense while writing a story. Past tense is writing your story with the view that these events have already happened in the past. Okay, hence it has to be written in past tense. Number 3, frame the story keeping in mind the central characters. So frame your story. As I said earlier, the central character, the main character. Okay, the entire story revolves around this central character. So the story should be written keeping in mind the central character and not the secondary or supporting characters. Fourth point to be kept in mind is climax of the story. Okay, the end of the story. Climax of the story should be clear and satisfying. So the end of the story, it should not be the story should not come to an end in a haphazard manner. You need not end a story hurriedly. Okay, so it should be satisfying. It should be clear to the reader that the story has come to an end. The next important point to keep in mind is make simple and innovative use of language. Okay, make simple language easy to make use of simple language that is easy to understand. Add twists and turns to develop readers' interest. Of course, you need to create some mystery and some incidents that will develop the interest of the reader. Okay, some twists and turns will make your story interesting. Give title to your story. Very, very important. Even if it's not given in the question, still you have to give a title to your story. And the title mainly depends upon the central character or some incident or a message that you want to convey through the story. The next point is stick to the word limit of 150 to 200 words. Do not exceed the word limit. Also, if it's given that the word limit is 150 to 200, do not reduce it to 50 or 100 words. Okay, so you need to stick to the word limit. Make sure the story has a moral or message. Okay, make sure that the story has a moral or message. In every story, you have to write the moral or the message. Okay, so just like title is compulsory for your story, similarly, writing a moral or message for your story is also equally important. Now, with this, so the next topic that we have here is format or structure of story writing. Now, students, while there is no given format as such for story writing, there is a basic structure that one can follow. It helps construct a story in an understandable manner and keeps the flow of the story. Okay, and we have already revised this in the previous lecture. So let us quickly revise it now. The first thing that we need to remember is that the first paragraph is the context. Here, context means circumstances forming a background of an event, idea, or statement in such a way so as to enable the readers to understand your narrative piece, that is your story. You can start your story using phrases like once upon a time, long, long ago, a proverb or a quote or any of them. The next you need to write, the next paragraph will involve introduction of characters. Okay, introduction of characters through dialogues or narration. The next is plot. Okay, plot we have already discussed earlier. Description of event or sequence of events, accident taking place in the story. Last and the most important is climax. That is end of the story. The end of the story should be satisfying and it should relate to the story. With this, we come to an end of the format or structure of the story. Moving ahead, now let us go through the various types of questions. Okay, so the first type is where you are given the beginning or middle of the story. Students are required to complete it on their own using their imagination and supply a suitable heading to it. Okay, so you have to complete a story. The question is given and you need to complete it using your own imagination and provide a suitable title. If you notice in the question, over here, let me read out for you. It was raining heavily. The street lights had gone off, and I was returning. Complete the story in 150 to 200 words. Also give an appropriate title to it. So in this question, it has been asked to give a title and complete the story in 150 to 200 words. It's not mentioned to write the moral or message that you get from the story. However, it's equally important to write moral or the message that you get from the story, just like the title. Now, here in the story, it was raining heavily, the street lights had gone off, and I was returning. So what happened next? So students, your story should begin with these lines, the lines which are given here in the question. Okay, and then with your own imagination, you can continue the story further. There can be, you can describe an incident that happened while you were returning home. Okay, it can be like you met some strangers, or maybe you helped someone, or maybe you met with an accident. So all these things can be described here. And do remember, your story should be within 150 to 200 words. The next question is, write a story with the ending. So earlier in the first question we have seen the beginning is given, while the second question over here, you have to write a story with the ending. From that day onwards, I never went out alone. Okay, so ending is given. But here you are also provided with the hints. Use the following hints. Visit to your friend's house. Follows deserted place. Cool and calm place. Palms were sweating. Suddenly followed by a ghost. Need help. Story told by ghost about her accident. Screamed. Fainted back home. Fever for 3 days. Unforgettable experience. So students, here along with the ending lines, hints are also provided, which makes it much easier for you to write a story. Do remember, follow the sequence and follow the hints given in the story. Do not deviate from the hints given. However, you can use your own imagination and creativity while developing your story. Moving ahead, the next type of question is, hints of the story are given and the student is required to elaborate the hints and shape them up into a complete story, providing connectivity. Right, so here only the hints are given, not like the earlier one, where the ending lines are given plus the hints are given. Once a king had a minister. It was the habit of the minister to always say, "It is all for the best." Once the king cut his hand. The minister said, "It is all for the best." The king became angry, ordered him to be sent to the prison. I hope students you have heard this story. Okay, and so this is a kind of story which you have been writing since class 4. Okay, hints are given and you are asked to elaborate the hints and shape them into a complete story. And do not forget to write the story in proper sequence so that it provides connectivity. There's one more story over here. Write a story with the help of the given hints in 150 to 200 words. Also give a suitable title. Again, it's not mentioned that you need to write a message or moral that you get from the story. So even that you have to write. A teacher shows three toys to a student. Identical toys, but one has tiny hole in both the eyes. The other has tiny holes in one of her ears and mouth. Last one has only one hole in one of the ears. Teacher explains. 3 types of people. 1 who listens from one ear and removes from another. 2nd, who listens and let others know your issues. And lastly, who listens and keep it in their heart forever. Trust the last type of people. So students, this is a beautiful story. Okay, and you can write very nice moral, or you can write a good message that you derive from the story. Okay, again, hints are given, and it's very easy for you to write a story based on the hints. Should be within 150 to 200 words. A title should be provided. Should not be more than 4 to 5 paragraphs. And of course, moral or message should be written. Now, last but not the least, you need to write a short story based on the given picture. A sequence of events are described with the help of picture, and you need to write a story in 150 to 200 words. Also give a suitable title to your story and moral as well. So here we see the picture. Okay, the sequence of events. A girl who saves a dog, brings the dog home, and what happens next? We can see in the image there are some thieves who are waiting to enter the house. The dog starts barking, and here we can understand the entire sequence. So you need to use your own imagination, creativity, and observe the picture carefully and complete the story. So here we come to an end of this session, end of this lecture. We are done with story writing, which is an important topic for you, and the home assignment is waiting for you. So click on the link below and complete the home assignment. Do remember, the home assignment should be done in worksheet or any other book that you have maintained for English subject. Alright? Thank you so much.